here, and welcome back to High Intensity Business, a podcast where we give you the tools, the tactics, and the strategies to help you grow your high intensity training business. Get more members for your hit business when you download our free business resources over at highintensitybusiness.com/free. And this includes resource PDFs like 10 tips to get more clients, how to attract and retain great trainers, a very common problem in our space, a high converting strength training sales presentation, business plan templates, and much, much more. So you can download that over at highintensitybusiness.com/free. So today is episode 408, and today's episode is called Sell the Heaven. This is part 2 to episode 378. So you can certainly listen to this as a standalone episode, but if you want to get the full understanding of the sales consultation end to end, and listen to part 1 as well, 378, which is called How to Sell the Hell in 5 Simple Steps with Corrie-Beth. Today's guest again is returning, Corrie-Beth, obviously. Corrie-Beth is a mum of 2 boys who, along with her husband Mike, builds people up through their fitness franchise, Pure Physique. The innovative 30-minute workouts focus on transforming lives through fitness, nutrition, and mindset have earned them features on CBS, NBC, and Fox. Unlike traditional approaches, Pure Physique's programs prioritize long-term, sustainable solutions rather than calorie counting or cardio. Corrie-Beth is passionate about digging deep. You've upgraded this bio, Corrie-Beth, since we last spoke. Digging deep to uncover the root causes of her clients' challenges and identifying tailored solutions to help them overcome obstacles. She believes that this process begins with the very first sales call, where she works to understand her clients' unique needs and goals. Through her work, Corrie-Beth is committed to empowering individuals to transform their lives and unlock their full potential. In part 1, episode 378, she helped us discover how to sell the hell. And today we're digging into painting the client's dream with Sell the Heaven. Corrie-Beth, great to see you again. Thanks so much for doing this.
Thank you for having me. You read that bio and I was like, wow, that's really nice. I forgot that, we wrote that.
Yeah, it's great. I love it. I love the fact that you're always upgrading, improving things. So I saw that come through and I thought, yeah, I just copy and paste that straight in. So, really excited to do this for you today. And so, as I said, for the listeners' benefit, part 1 of this little series, we really talked about selling the hell. So, really understanding or developing a deep understanding of the prospect's problem and their goals, and really sort of agitating that and really helping them understand, what are the consequences if they don't make a change. And so that naturally leads into the second part of the sales process, which is to sell the heaven. What does the dream look like? Where do they arrive? So I would love to listen to you talk about that process. So you've, ended that final question of part 1, which was where you're going to be in 5 to 10 years if you don't change anything. And maybe there's a little bit more that comes after that. But yeah, you take it away, Corrie-Beth. Where do we go from here?
Well, it's such an honor to be here and thank you for having me. And I just want to give a little bit of context for this conversation. I mean, when you get on a lead or a prospect call for someone coming into your fitness studio, or you're going to work with them with nutrition or in any capacity, people will say, I just want to lose weight. And I'll be very honest, 10, 12 years ago, I would take that for face value and say, great, come on in, let's set up your appointment. But what I've realized over the past decade it is so essential to really dig in and actually collect some leverage on them. So through multiple coaches and sales coaching programs that I've personally gone through, I have learned so much and am incredibly grateful for this. So I'm excited to share this with your listeners. And again, whether you use the whole thing or perhaps it just enlightens you in a way like, oh, I never thought to take that angle, or I never thought to just ask one more question. That really is my objective today. You don't have to do it the way I do it, but rather let's have just a wider scope of really what that client is looking to do or where they are coming from. And I believe that that helps us to truly help them beyond just, you want to lose weight? That's great. So that
Right.
said, let's dive into this sell the heaven. And what I want to say is you can't do the heaven, the vision, without first selling the hell. And so what selling the hell is it's understanding the true pain that our prospect is living in. And it's future pacing that pain. Where else is it showing up? What's going on? How long has that been going on? And when we do that, I will tell you that since our episode 378, I mean, I've had dozens of phone calls with people. And when we get to that final 5th question of sell the hell, where are you going to be in 5 to 10 years if nothing changes? The answer most regularly is miserable or dead. That's what
Uh-huh.
people say. And I think it's an uncomfortable thing to ask people. I'm going to also put that out there. It does take practice, it does take training, and I'm obviously very comfortable doing it. So practice this, practice asking these questions. Once we start to dive into the heaven, there are four parts to it. So the first is really, what is their why? Now, initially, people will say, I want to lose weight. But at this point in the call, now that we've sold the hell, we've dug so deep on their pain, typically people will, be brought to tears. They're like, oh my gosh, I've got to change my life. Now we can say, you know, what's your real why? And that's always going to be a lot different than I want to lose weight. So, what's your real why? And what's that going to mean to yourself, your family, your career, your hobbies? Like, what's that really going to mean? And they're like, oh gosh, I just fill in the blank. I don't want to age. I don't want to be that grandparent that can't get on the floor. I don't want to be that parent that can't run on the soccer field. I don't want to repeat the life that my parents had with regard to their health. And once we have that real why, that's the one that actually we want to talk about, not just I want to lose weight, because everybody wants to lose weight and everybody wants to get stronger and everybody wants to look better. But really, how are we going to feel on the inside? And that's deep, right? And so the second part is we then help them to visualize that. What's that going to look like? And I like to be a bit of, I guess, a wordsmith where I want them to experience the five senses. I'm like, what's that going to look like when you get up in the morning and you see that in the mirror? And what's that going to feel like to really slip on those clothes or, just slip into that pair of jeans? What are you going to feel or what are you going to experience when your spouse wants to just like lovingly like hug you and you don't pull away? And I know that this sounds like, whoa, you ask those questions. Well, we've built a great deal of rapport in the first like 5 to 8 minutes of this phone conversation. We've made them cry. And so they trust us. And so we can ask things like that. So after, what is your real why? It's, let's visualize that together. And I'll even have them close their eyes. Like, close your eyes for a second. What's that going to feel like to get up out of bed and look at yourself in the mirror, having energy, feeling amazing, feeling confident? I mean,
Awesome.
people will shock you with their answers. Sound corny, but I promise it works.
What kind of
So
answers do you get?
they're like, oh my, well, actually, here's actually, I put a note here that said, most people initially don't believe it. Most people initially don't believe that they can achieve the goal, lose the weight, feel better, look amazing.
Yeah.
And so that's why this is so important to really be like, let's visualize it together, because people that have struggled for such a long time, they're like, oh, like it would feel amazing. And now when I hear that, I'm like, that's such a surface answer again, right? Like, hang on, hang on. Are you not believing this? Let's really visualize this together. Close your eyes. Let's envision you jumping out of bed and not wanting to hit snooze. Let's envision you walking into your closet and grabbing anything and being able just to put it on. Let's envision you going into the bathroom and loving what you see in the mirror. What's that gonna feel like? And then they're like, oh, I mean, that would be incredible. Like I would finally feel happy. I would finally stop struggling. I would finally be satisfied. I would finally have confidence. And that's where I want to take them. Like, it is possible. I mean, look at what so many of our clients, our peers have been able to do and transforming people's bodies. Look at what I was able to do. I
Mm.
lost 40 pounds. I overcame IBS. Doctor said I couldn't. I was diagnosed narcoleptic. I mean, I think I have the most energy in the room 90% of the time. It's like when you look at what we are capable of as humans, we want to instill that belief in our prospect or lead, like, you can do this. I am going to help you do this. We're going to do this together. And that's why I love to do that visualization, because most people don't believe that they can be successful.
Okay. Awesome. So that's step one is digging into the why. Step two, ask them to get them to visualize the new reality.
Yes.
Um, is that the first two steps? And
Those are the first two steps. Yeah.
yeah.
Sorry I didn't come with the presentation, but this one's pretty
No, not
simple.
at all. Not at all. This is fine.
um, in that, once they visualize it and I know we're on the same page, I will just say, like, hey, what's it gonna mean? What's it gonna mean to achieve that? And they're like, "Oh, it'll change my whole life. That's gonna be awesome." The third step is we future pace that. So, okay, let's envision, you implement these things we're talking about. You're going to come into the gym. We're going to start working on your body. We're going to clean up your nutrition together. What is that going to look like if we stack those habits and you have those healthy habits for the next 5 years? Where are you going to end up? That's when I think people start to get excited. They go from not really believing that this is possible for them to like, whoa, I would have a totally different life. I'd have a different relationship with myself, my body, my kids, my spouse, my work, my career. I may not even be doing the work that I'm doing right now because actually I'll feel more motivated to go and do something else. I mean, that's gone in a lot of different directions. But the third step is we want to help future pace that success. Make sense?
Yeah, absolutely. Got it.
And then once I know we're good, if there's any stumbling in there, and this I think comes from a lot of coaching and training, if people are like, well, I'm not sure, I don't know, I never move on to the close. If there's any hesitation, we as the people in the sales seat have to address like, what's the hesitation? And I will say in the past, I was always nervous to address that because like you don't want to call people out. Maybe it feels awkward and strange. But I've now reached the point where I'm like, what is the hesitation? What about this don't you believe? We always got to have that quick checkpoint because if you go right into the sale, it's going to flop. They're not going to join because they don't believe that. You haven't maintained their trust. And so
I know.
once I know I've got it, once I know we got their why, we visualized it together, we know what it's going to mean to them. That's in step two. And then we future pace that, where will you be in 5 years? The final question is, are you ready to start making that your reality today? And I've never had anyone say no. People are always like, yeah, I am ready to start making that my reality. I think the heaven, it's just a fancy way for saying we want people to tap into their vision. But I really do believe sitting in the seat of sales, being a former public school teacher, being a mom, as we age, we lose track of our dreams. We lose belief and trust maybe in ourselves that we are capable of doing things radically different, of elevating, of growing, of changing. And I don't necessarily want to say that people maybe have a fixed mindset as opposed to like a growth mindset. Of course, we all aspire to have that
Yeah.
growth mindset. But I just do think that time and failed attempts and maybe just letdowns in life, it all contributes to this. Like, I don't know if I can really do that. And the whole objective of this heaven is helping them to locate what is that vision? What does it look like? What does it mean? And let's do this together. Let's go and take that step. And I also just want to put in here too that I think we have to be really authentically wanting to help people. I'm going to say if you go in and you're like, I don't care about my clients, or I'm just going to pass them off to someone else, like that's a bit of like a moral conflict that we have. And so,
Yeah.
to be able to sell someone the heaven and sell someone the hell, we really have to be able, before we even get on that call, to be like, I'm going to serve the heck out of this person. I'm going to love them. I'm going to help them. I love what I do. I'm so excited to have this opportunity and I can't wait to change their life. And if we go in with that mentality, that's always what our energy is. And I think that that gets conveyed not just on that sales call, but that really is the starting point, for the relationship then you're going to have with that client through their journey.
Yeah. That last thing you said was really important. I completely agree with that. Going in with that just incredible belief that you believe in what you do, you believe in your product or service, you truly want to actually really help that individual in front of you. That attitude alone can almost be, if you get that right and you get everything else wrong, you probably still convert customers quite successfully on average. So let me just clarify. So when you were saying about them showing any sort of hesitancy, do you mean anywhere along this process, or did you mean is the close number 5 ready to start? Are you ready to start making that reality today? Is that the closing sort of question? Is it, or is there a close after that?
No, so are you
That would
ready
be
to
it.
start making that a reality today? They say yes. Then I say, great, let's lay out exactly what the program looks like. And then we go into the overview, which is funny, right? Because when some people will call a gym, it's like, hey, what's going on? I want some info. What's your goal? I want to lose weight. Sounds great. Here's our program. Okay, great. Thank you very much. Click. And I think
Bye.
people wonder, you know, listen, I used
Yeah.
to do that. I'm not sitting here pointing any finger. When
No,
you point the
no.
finger, there's four that point back at yourself.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
I did used to do that. I'm like, check out our awesome program. People don't care. They don't care what your
Yeah.
program looks
They
like.
want
They
results, not
care
features, right? Yeah.
totally,
Yeah.
totally.
Yeah.
So that after we sold the hell, we sold the heaven, then you can talk about your program. And sometimes, honestly, Lawrence, I even ask permission. I'm like, hey, is it okay that I tell you about the program? And at that point, they're like salivating at the mouth. They're like, yes, like, what is it?
Yeah.
As
Yeah.
opposed to like, hey, let me tell you all about this awesome stuff I do.
Okay. So program overview, then what happens?
That's a great question. So I wasn't planning to share all of this, but I'll give you all my secrets.
I
Um,
apologize.
No, I love it. After the program overview, here's what everything looks like. Um, then at the end of that, I will ask, like, does it sound like anything is missing? Right. And of course, we do such a great comprehensive job of explaining. And they're like, no, it sounds like it has everything I need. Great. And I will ask them one more question, which I guess I'll give to your listeners when you guys are getting the bonus ones today. And it's, before we go any further, in a word, can you tell me how you feel about your life right now? And typically they're like, well, tired or fatigued or bad, miserable, unhappy, stuck. Stuck comes up a lot. And I'm like, okay, got it. Right. How do you want to feel 6 months from now? And they're like, elated, excited, awesome, vibrant, strong, confident. Awesome. Are you ready to go from being miserable or stuck to feeling confident every day? They're like, great. Yes, I am. And then I'm like, okay, great. Take out your pen. Let's go over these options. And then I provide the pricing. Here's what it is. And of course, too, like in sales, you don't just want to be like, our package is $200 a month. I always like to give some type of an option. Like if you
Hmm.
just want to come in and train, it's this. I think I would really going to recommend this piece for you. And of course, any type of pay in full. We personally at our gym, we do 3 month pay in fulls. And if people pay in full for 3 months, we do offer a 10% discount, which is great for people that have allocated a certain budget for their health. Listen, with cash flow in businesses, I think it's great to have some upfront collection. And then I think it's great to have that recurring. And if you can do a combination of that, I think it helps you to make improvements within your gym, improves the customer experience when they come in. And they feel great because they got a deal. They saved 10%.
So when you say 3 months, it's like whatever it would normally be month to month, they're saving 10% on that by paying 3 months up front. And then what it
Exactly.
automatically then would renew into a monthly after that. Is that kind of how it works?
We actually give them the option at the end of that 3 months. We'll reach back out and say, hey, do you want to take advantage of that 10% off package again? And most people do.
Hmm.
Like once they do that once, they'll do it again. And it's great. I mean, they pay 4 times a year.
Oh, I
They save
see.
10% each time. We have had, I would say, a small percentage. I could get you the actual stats on this, but some people were like, I think I'm just going to go to one, paying once a month. Like I'm just going to do the
Sure.
monthly package. Yeah, okay, no problem. But most often, I would say it's at least a 70% rate of people that say, I want to do the 3 month again. Like, give me the deal.
Interesting. So another alternative to this, which I heard, I know Alex Hormozy is very popular right now, isn't he? In well, not just
Sure
in
is.
fitness business, but in the business space. But I find obviously his content to be very applicable to us because of his incredible background in fitness business. And I know you guys have been part of gym launch in the past and got
Yeah.
results from that. I think that's where I first heard about Alex actually from Mike. So and the reason I bring him up, sorry, is he talks about the idea of if a client invests more upfront, when they then move on to a lower recurring value, it's actually psychologically seems like an amazing deal, or seems like let's say a more sustainable long term investment because they're comparing it to that initial upfront, which I thought was fascinating, sort of buying psychology. So that's obviously slightly different. I really like your approach as well, though.
Yeah, I mean, we do
Yeah.
similar things for online. We'll bring people into like a six
Right.
week program and it'll be a certain price point. And then after that, and I use the words with the client, I'm like, we're going to step you down too. And they're like, great. That sounds fantastic. I'm going to get stepped down in what I'm paying, but I'm going to still maintain similar or comparable
Yeah.
access to what I got up front. Sign me up. So yeah, it's a great, great, great
Perfect.
tactic.
Makes a lot of sense. Okay, so let me just clarify a few things here. So this process you just took us through, is that the same as it would be on the phone versus in person?
Yeah, I don't do actually any in-person sales. So everything I
Oh,
do is on the phone. And that's a great thing that we should have mentioned too. I used to do all of our sales in person and I really enjoyed the fact that you could like see their facial reaction. You could sense their energy, you could be a bit more intuitive there. We did then through COVID move to video sales where I'm like looking at the person. And again, you
yeah.
can have a better sense. And now at this point, I would say at least the past 2.5, 3 years has been strictly phone sales. And so I don't see them. I don't meet with them
Wow.
in person. I do think it's the hardest. And here's what I will say to your listeners. If you can master the phone sale, you can master any sale.
Yeah. 100%. Yeah, well, I didn't realize that. I thought when we did part one together, I thought it was actually in person, but I could see how obviously it can work both in person and on the phone. So what is the give me an idea of the ticket size that you're closing on the phone then with this process? Yeah, can you
That's
give
a
me an
great
idea of
question.
like, yeah, the rate, the order of magnitude, like the type of deals you would close with this process? Deal size.
This I think this is great for mid to high ticket.
Uh-huh.
Digging in on their pain. I mean, they're ready to go. They're ready to do the program. And I think, sometimes maybe just a gym membership. It's like, do I need to ask all those questions? To an extent, yes. That's really important because when that person says, I'm going on vacation, I'm ready to, take a break or whatever, it's like you have so much leverage on them to be like, you're going to come right back. Let's get you set up for when you return instead of allowing people to drop off. So I would say that this full process soup to nuts, mid ticket, anywhere from like 1,000 to like $5,000 programs. And then maybe I scale it back a little bit for people that I know just want to come in for a gym trial. They want to just do a gym membership. And so they'll work with us. And that can range anywhere from 140 upwards of 380 a month for them to come in and just do training. Actually, and then there's personal training too. So that could be in the realm of like $600 a month.
Got
But
it.
I will still generally walk through like what is your pain, but what is really your pain? And then what is your vision or why? But like really, what is your why? And like where are we going to go if we keep traveling down these two different paths?
Thank you for being transparent about that. That's really helpful. And I think it
Yeah.
makes people realize how, the type of deal size that you can actually sell and convert over the phone without ever meeting anyone. I think that for me personally, and I've had some success doing that, it's a real kind of it really breaks apart your limiting beliefs. It almost distorts your reality. Which oh wow, actually it is possible to do this kind of stuff. Um and just to clarify as well, because I know you guys do the fitness as well as the nutrition and supplements as well, right? So if someone's going for like a 5 grand type of deal, what are they looking at the full package, right? Probably accountability and coaching, online, nutrition, workouts, everything. Is that what that kind of looks like? Yeah.
Yeah. Four pillars. So
Ah,
their workouts,
yep.
3 a week, their nutrition, and they do get like a one-on-one onboarding, one-on-one coach assigned to them, which they have constant access to via our app. So, you ask a question, we get back within 24 hours. Then there's the accountability. I always call that the glue. We need to make sure you're going to
Yeah.
do what you said you wanted to do. And then there's the mindset piece. So I do nutritional mindset coaching calls on a weekly basis. Group, I should say that they're group calls. Otherwise, you really
Yeah.
limit yourself in
Scales.
terms of time. And I will say too, even people that do purchase mid to high ticket programs from us, and I know from others too, they actually like the group. Of course, you'll run across a person once in a while that's like, "Well, I really wanted one on one. I don't offer that. That's
Yeah.
not an
That
option
would be
on the table."
$100,000, please.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. It's not worth it. And what I find is people do have more success in that group model. I took a group coaching program, like how to create group programs back in
Cool.
2018. And it was just really, really enlightening for me to understand like the process really is not that different from an individual person to a group of people. We pretty much all walk the same journey. We pretty much all have similar issues. And I think there's even benefit and value for me. It is just women that I allow into that nutrition mindset call and to have them really share with one another, I think is incredibly beneficial. Like, you struggle with that? I'm not the only one that struggles. Oh my gosh. And I even say when you hear somebody else struggling, like there's never any judgment. It's probably a struggle that either you had in the past or one that you haven't yet reached. So pay attention because when you get there, you're going to want to know how to attack it.
Yeah. I'm thinking like maybe for a lot of women, like menopause, that kind of stage of life,
For
how that
sure.
seeing other women go through that and haven't been through that yet, that could be quite helpful.
Yeah.
Talking of distorting realities, you're definitely challenging some of my thoughts about this, and it's really inspiring. Let's talk about this in the context of a high intensity training studio, right? So a lot of our colleagues don't do nutrition, don't do a lot of the other things you guys do, and they just focus on the workouts, and that's cool. And that's what we do at Optima Strength. We just focus on strength training, right? And currently we get a lot of our new customers through a service called bark.com where people post, the service, right? So for those who are listening who don't know, it's been quite a good resource for us in terms of generating customers. It's pretty much the only thing aside from referrals that we're focused on right now. And basically, the way it works is you pay a certain amount of money for credits, and people will post their interest in different professional services on bark.com. So I guess it's kind of like an upmarket Craigslist kind of feel to it. And people will post their interest in personal training, and they give you all the details about their age, their needs, their goals, the gender preferences they have for trainer, the times they want to work out, all those things. And you can then create criteria. So you only see leads that are a good fit for your business. So we've been using that. And so the general process goes, I buy the lead, I call them as quickly as possible because that's everything, speed. And I get them on the phone. And there have been numerous times where I thought I could probably convert this person right now on the phone to like a €500 per month paying client twice a week training, which is we are, our premium offer for the most part. And I don't. I always just follow my process, which is, yeah, it's so I can see they're like, sometimes they're really keen to just get started and sign up. And I say, oh no, you know what? Come in for the free introductory workout, right? Where I take them through a process like we've gone through here on these podcasts, but in person, although probably not quite as good as your process. And we take them through the actual free workout experience, and then obviously we offer the options after that, and then it tends to convert with a quite a high percentage. But I'm now thinking, if someone is ready to move forward on that phone call, let's move forward. Because one of the things we're struggling a little bit right now is no shows. So we'll schedule a free workout, life happens, things come up for people, or if it's scheduled too far out, I feel like the emotion is faded a little bit. Maybe there was some emotion in the moment. They heard something on a podcast, or they had a little health scare or something where they're really motivated. And then like a few weeks go by and it's kind of somewhat diminished. And that's something I'm learning, I guess. And so, yeah, I'm just curious what you think about that, Corrie-Beth, just hearing me talk about those things, whether you think I should just have a process first. Someone wants to sign up there and there on the phone, just sign them up there and there. Because I feel like then you've got their commitment and they're going to move forward and definitely going to show up for their workout because they've invested versus a free workout where they might not show. And I guess that's always a good secondary option. But if we can get the commitment there and then, that makes more sense.
I totally agree with you. And listen, we don't do anything dissimilar to you in terms of like come in for that free
Right.
introductory workout. And we know that after that, I mean, for them to come in and experience your studio, our studio, a listener studio, you're going to close that person. They're joining short of the trainer yourself, just doing an absolutely horrible job. Like they're going to join. People like to get something for free, but I do agree that there are action takers. There are people that are looking to get started, make the purchase. And so I definitely don't think we should take that away from them. Um, I don't know what else I want to say there. I want to dive into the no-show thing because I'm going to help you eliminate no-shows
Yeah,
forever.
let's go through that first. Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, I hate that actually. People not showing up. And here's a quick
So
little
rude.
story I'll give you. It is so rude.
I
Well,
would
and
never do
again,
it to another service provider myself. Yeah.
never. Well, and especially like in early morning. So this just came up actually in one of our team meetings is our location out in Connecticut. One of the trainers was like, "Oh my gosh, I just had such a bad day. Somebody no-showed me at 5:30 in the morning. Like I got up early to be here and they no-showed." And I'm like, "What was the process when you got on the phone with them?" And, let me take you back to this quick story. I went to a bridal expo back in 2012 with my husband, Mike. We're going to get married. We're all excited. And what did I find at the bridal expo? Not a photographer or DJ. I found a chiropractor. And I was like, oh, this is great, right? I'm always looking for health and wellness. So he says, hey, we're going to bring you in. We're going to do x-rays. We're going to do scans. We're going to do this adjustment. Like, and it's all free. I'm like, sweet, sign me up, right? People like free. He goes, well, you have to write a check to a charity. And if you don't come in, we're going to process that check to this charity. Like it totally goes to a good cause. But if you do come in, we're actually just going to apply that to your package. And I was like, wait, what? Like now all of a sudden I got some skin in the game, right? Because I'm either going to give this guy money or I'm not going to give him money. And to be honest, I wasn't not going to go. But if something more important had come up in my life on that day, there's a chance I might not have shown up because it was free. Who cares? I didn't lose anything.
Oh,
And so when I handed
let me give you one thing to think about as you say this. I rarely get no shows, sorry, like ghosting, but I mean, people canceling, I think has happened quite a bit for us recently in terms of like 2 days before, a day before. So sorry, go on, but just have that in mind as well.
Of course. Okay,
Yeah.
got it. I'll hit both. And again, I don't think that I'm the expert at this. I'm just going to share my
Yeah,
experience.
please.
But once I handed over the check, I was like, "Oh my gosh, I got to go." Like I got to go show up to this. And I didn't feel bad about giving it to him. His approach was, "We're going to give it to this charity that my chiropractic office supports." But I ended up going. I mean, and we ended up spending. Oh my gosh, Mike and I probably spent like $400 or $500 a month for both of us to go and get these chiropractic adjustments. We were there for over a year. So to
Wow.
think about just that little piece in the sales process that they inserted that actually got me in the door, we joined. And so when I think back about our own facility, we always collect a credit card up front. And so once I go through this whole process with someone, I'm like, hey, listen, I'm going to schedule you, send confirmation for your free trial. The last piece is we do put a credit card on file. You are absolutely not going to be charged for the session. But if you no show or ghost us, I love the language you use, and I use that. I try to be a little, fun and modern. I'm like, if you ghost us, we are going to charge you $25 for that session. And only once, Lawrence, in the last 10 years, has a woman or a person on the other end of the phone, she was like, oh, okay, then never mind. I'm like, she wasn't even going to come in. Everyone
Yeah.
else is like, totally
That is such
understand.
poor character, isn't it? Just grinds my
Horrible.
gears, that does.
But you know
Yeah.
what? Like, I'm thrilled to just weed that person out. Like, that's not our ideal
Yeah,
client. And
definitely.
so, you're welcome for like the quick little like mindset, sales session that I gave you. You realized what some of your goals are. And, best of luck to you. I didn't feel bad about it. I was so grateful that she wasn't going to screw over one of the
Yeah.
trainers in one of our facilities. So, 100% always collect that card, always convey like, you're not going to be charged for this. But if you don't show up, there is a $25 charge. People always show up. And if you get those 1 or 2 day before people like, hey, I need to reschedule, no problem. You know, Here, let's hop on the phone and let's get you rescheduled now. Like,
Yeah.
when can I call you? Today. Let's get this on the calendar. Cause you said that you got 40 pounds to lose and you're not able to do all these things, right? Cause we have all this leverage. It's like a
Yeah.
secret like vault behind us that we can like open back up and reveal to them, like, hey, you said. And I will tell you too, I'm gonna pop this in. I had this one girl that did this, gave the credit card day before, can't come. I said, great, let's reschedule. And it was literally like a week of like trying to like chase this chick down to get her to reschedule to come in. And I was like, hey, listen, like you said, elemental P, you said this was important. You said, I'm like, I'm here to make this whole process for you not scary. Like, let's get you booked. Finally, she came back. She was a young girl. She was like, you know what? It's just, I don't think I'm going to be able to afford it. And I was like, no problem. Like, thanks for
Yeah.
letting me know. I want to get that yes or that no from a person. And
Yeah.
I'm going to chase you down. And I'll left messages where I'm like, I'm going to keep calling until you say yes or no. I'm going to
I
keep
love it.
coming back after you. It's important because people need help. And if we are not there to help them, they're going to stay stuck. And if we look around at all of the comorbidities that influence people's immune systems through the past 3 years of life, like we have to step up and help these people and chase them down and be the best at following up, because also that contributes to a great reputation that we get to have as fitness
Yeah.
studios. Like, wow, this person really cares. I've chased a woman down for six
Totally.
months and she just came in and joined.
Yeah, amazing. I've had a similar experience. Follow-up is so underrated. Um, yeah, there's some crazy stats on that, like the number of people that don't follow up and how actually a lot of the sales happen with like whatever it is, the fourth or seventh follow-up or whatever. And I agree with you. It's like following up in a respectful way where you're delivering value and doing it with the right kind of cadence and that kind of thing. Um, does signal to a prospect that you are a professional organization who have good processes around this. And I think it's like how you do anything is how you do everything, right? So they see that and think, well, how does that, what's that training look like? What's the customer service like? So no, I love that you mentioned that. Um, I must give props to Dr. Bryce Lee, who good friend of mine, been on the podcast. He actually told me about this credit card trick a while ago, and I think I just got lazy, and I thought I didn't want to add the friction, but I'm actually starting to think that could be a great way to circumvent this or prevent this. I think so. Thank you for that.
Well,
Um,
hold on, hold on. I
Go ahead.
want to rephrase the way you just called that a credit card trick, because it's not a trick. And I think that
Okay,
that's where we get tripped up in our minds.
sure.
It's a security. Like, it's a security that they're going to show. And it's a security that if they don't, you're compensated, or your trainer. Because again, you have a trainer that you're paying to be in your facility. And then the person doesn't show, you got to pay that person for their time. You can't, like, as the owner, be like, oh, sorry. And I think we sometimes even have to put ourselves in that seat, because when it was Mike being the person that scheduled it, the person didn't show, he's like, oh, well, I didn't make any money. But all of a sudden, it's not Mike and it's somebody else that you've paid to be there. You got to collect something on that. So it's not a trick at all. It's a security. And absolutely, you are worth and deserve that.
Oh, 100%. Yeah, thank you for clarifying that. You're right. you caught me on that poor mindset around that. So let me just clarify something again. I'm just a little confused. You talked about a free trial, but then you've also talked about converting these high level programs on the phone. What are we doing here? I'm just slightly confused.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Yes, both, both.
Okay.
So if it's a person that calls and they're like, my friend comes to your gym, I just want to come in for a workout. I will still walk them through this heaven and hell.
Sure.
I'll let them come in for the free workout. On that call, I will lay out for them. So let me differentiate. We have online people, we have in-gym people. So these in-gym people, they'll still do somewhat of a high ticket if they want to get nutrition and coaching and all the other stuff. And so I'll walk them through like, hey, once you come in, I just want to give you an idea of the options. I really think you should do this challenge, this higher level program, and it's going to include all these things. If that's not for you and you don't want the nutrition help, here's just what the training packages are. And they're like, oh, right. It's so important, I think, to give a bit of range or context on that call. This is not going to be $10 a session for you to come in. This is not Planet Fitness,
Yeah.
which they've already kind of perceived based on the whole process that we walk them through. And so that's this, and I'll bring them in for the trial. And then I immediately hop back on within 45 minutes of them ending that session. I'm on the phone with them. How are we joining? What are we going to do? And a lot of them do want to do that higher ticket thing where they come in and they get all the nutrition and everything else. The online people don't get a free trial. These online people, you close on that call, and typically for online, which may or may not be, a big part of your listenership, people that work with us, they never come into our facility. Everything that we do is
I
completely
see.
digital, virtual based. I'll typically do a little set call with them where I walk through this sell the hell. I'll give them some type of homework in between, and then I go in for the high ticket or the mid ticket sale.
I see. Okay. And so there's another part of this then, which I think is really probably relevant to us and our colleagues, is what does that free trial look like in person? What does a free workout look like, right?
Perfect. Yes.
Yeah.
So in studio, okay, do you want me to explain?
Well, I was thinking actually we should probably park it because of time, because I've got a hard stop in a couple of minutes here as well. But I thought if you're open to it, Corey, maybe sorry, Corrie-Beth, maybe we could do a part three to talk about that if you think that would work quite well.
Lawrence, I
That
could
could
talk
work.
with you all day, and I apologize for not being a little bit more
Not at
clear
all.
about the two things. I sit in the
No.
sales seat where we have a plethora of things that we're selling and lots of different offerings. But again, I think for your viewership, and the people that are listening, it's more this in gym part where you still want to walk
Sure.
them through the process. You still want to bring them in for the trial, and you still want to hop on that sales call and give them some type of context of the things that you do offer. So yes, I would love to come back, and I could chat with you all day.
I appreciate that. The feelings mutual. No, it's okay because everything you shared is really still relevant. It's all very transferable. There is one question I had actually, and I think I'll probably finish on this point. Is one of the things I'm always curious about, or been curious about recently, is qualifying, whether you even need to do this, but qualifying someone in to see if they are going to be a good long term fit. Because you have those people come and they're like, yeah, I'll do this for maybe a few months. And my kind of perspective is always, a big part of it is financial, right? If they're not the right
Mhm.
income demographic, then it's not going to be sustainable for a lot of people, regardless of their level of motivation, right? The type of fees that we charge for, monthly memberships are not low, relatively speaking. It's what do you call it, non-discretionary purchase or whatever,
Yeah.
and one has to be of a certain income to make that sustainable, for the most part, and my mindset is typically like, well, like I always want to help people. I don't care if someone joins for like free. Well, I do care, but if they do only join for let's say 3 to 6 months, I can give them a vast amount of education and obviously deliver incredibly stimulating workouts in that time. And that's going to change the way they think about exercise and maybe approach it over the long term because we have a lot of education that goes into our process with clients. And then I'm also thinking, I like the fact that it's performance based and we have to prove our worth every month for them to continue to move it forward. And then they might then be convinced to become a long term fit, right? All of this doesn't matter, of course, if the income isn't where it needs to be. I know I overthink this a lot and I'm highly analytical. So with all that said, how do you, if at all, qualify kind of the whether the client's going to be a long-term fit for your style, for your services? Because that's what you're really looking for, I guess, for making it the best fit for your business long term, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I think that there's 3 parts to that, and I think the
Okay.
first is sometimes you can't.
Right.
Life is gonna happen and things are gonna come up, and so you really don't have any tie to how long someone may or may not be with you. I think our mentality is typically that person's going to come back. And we've had that happen a lot where people have left for a variety of reasons. And then they realize they can't do it without you. And so they want to come back
Sure.
to you. I think the second part is really laying out like, here are the different options that you have, here are the different financial ranges. Because right there on the call, people typically have an idea of like what they can afford or what their budget is. For some of the challenges that we do, we also do offer weekly payments. And so there's like a 3% increase on the total price because, of course, you're collecting, you're charging a card more times. So I think
Yeah.
laying out not only just the pricing, but also the pricing options for people. You can pay weekly. Some people will take advantage of that. And I think the third is, by giving that 3-month pay in full option where they save 10% off, you typically have a good feel for someone that's A, willing to invest in their health, and B, willing to make a big purchase. And typically, if they're willing to make that bigger purchase, they're more likely to make a big purchase again, even if
Sure.
they do a step down. So I do love getting those 3-month pay in fulls. It shows me someone that financially has set money aside, knows that they're worth it, understands that this is an investment. And
Yeah.
those people, I would say more than others, are going to stick around longer, save for any sudden life experiences.
Thank you for that. Yeah, and you've also got me thinking, at the end of the day, if you're good with your targeting and you're getting the right people through the door who are your good a good target market fit, and they're generally going to be obviously high earners, six-figure plus income, they qualify themselves in for that long-term adherence, right?
Sure.
So I think you almost solve the problem by just making sure you're selling to the right people in the first place. And that's just a side note. That's one of the issues with Bark is they don't give you obviously that demographic data in terms of earnings. And so it's a little more difficult to make sure that people are a target market fit, unless, of course, you can qualify that on the phone, which you can to a degree. And we've had some great fits in terms of target market. So, ours would be similar to a lot of our colleagues, probably busy professional men and women over 40, probably earning upwards of 150 to 200,000 euros. So obviously that's almost, I think dollars are slightly, it's not one to one, but it's close enough. Yeah. Well, yeah, maybe dollars dropped a little bit lately, isn't it? And so, yeah, but it's similar to obviously a lot of our colleagues, and yeah, we've certainly acquired customers like that through Bark, but it's not perhaps quite as good as maybe referrals, right, from the right types of people and from other really targeted work, where you can really get in front of the right kind of people. So yeah, that's just some experience from Bark that I want to share. Um,
Thanks.
Awesome. So, Corrie-Beth, thank you so much for doing this. So, just to summarize, then, so sell the heaven. So, actually, this isn't standalone, is it? Let's be honest. The listeners need to go back to 378 and listen to Sell the Hell Part One to really get this. And once you've gone through the 5 parts of Sell the Hell, then to start with Sell the Heaven, it's number one, find out their why, and really dig to understand the why behind they know why they want to achieve certain goals, right? Like, okay, weight loss. So what's that going to mean in terms of, playing with your kids, etc. And then get them to visualize the outcomes they want. Number three, understand what that would mean to them. Number four, future pace that out. Okay, what's that going to look like in 5 years? How does your life look different? And number five, the kind of closing question: Are you ready to start making that a reality today? Great. Number six, let's do a program overview. Number seven, anything missing? Number eight, in a word, how do you feel about your life? How do you want to feel 6 months from now? So obviously there's sort of two questions there, isn't it? How do you feel about your life? It sucks. Okay. How do you want to feel 6 months from now? I want to feel awesome. There you go. And then number nine, you're just laying out the options, right? So that format could work fantastic in person, and it could work great on the phone to sell practically anything.
Agree.
From like you said, $140 a month to 5,000 a month, and a lot more. I reckon you could use that exact process to sell 10, 50, $100,000 services, depending on obviously not fitness, but I'm talking about other industries there when I'm talking about those higher price points. But this is great. It's so flexible and adaptable is the wrong word. It's just transferable. I think it's the word I'm looking for. Corrie-Beth, I really appreciate you again being on podcast. Tell the listeners how they can learn about the Pure Physique franchise, anything else that you guys are up to.
Head on over to purephysique.com. I'm sure you'll put that in the show notes for that fun spelling of
Of course.
pure physique. And you can click on there. We have free coaching there, which we'd love your listeners to gain access to different locations. And then, of course, your ability to partner with us and open up a Pure Physique by you.
Yeah. And if I might be able to, you know, give my opinion on this as well. I've obviously spoken to you known you for a while, Corrie-Beth, and we've done some content together. And I know your husband very well. And we have lots of long chats on Zoom. And one thing I can say is I would have a lot of confidence in your concept because you're so well systematized. I mean, yourself and Micah really embrace ongoing development and in business and learning about systems and implementing that. And that's clearly incredibly evident listening to you today talk about this sales process. So I think that gives a prospective franchisee a ton of confidence. And so you certainly get my recommendation. So I encourage the listeners and the viewers to explore that if they're interested. Everyone listening, please subscribe on your favorite podcast platform. We should be everywhere at this stage. Please subscribe on YouTube, youtube.com/high intensity business. And to get more members for your hit business, download our free business resources over at highintensitybusiness.com/free. So you get PDFs like 10 tips to get more clients, how to attract and retain great trainers, a high converting strength training sales presentation, and much, much more. Again, that's highintensitybusiness.com/free. And to find a blog post for this episode, please go to highintensitybusiness.com. I should know my own website without looking at the other screen. Search for episode 408. And until next time, thank you very much for listening.